Man has used organisms found in nature to kill or disable his enemies since the Middle Ages. One of the earlier examples occurred in the 14th century when the Tartar army laid siege to Kaffa, a walled city along the Black Sea. When an outbreak of bubonic plague began to ravage the Tartars, they decided to catapult the plague-ridden corpses into the city, thereby helping to start an outbreak within the walls. Shortly thereafter, the Genoese defenders within the city were stricken with plague and fled to Italy. They carried this infection with them to Europe, beginning the outbreak of the horrible Black Death, which decimated the European population. With our current knowledge of the epidemiology of plague, we know that fleas leave a body quickly after it cools. Therefore, it's most likely that the outbreak was actually spread in Kaffa by flea-infested rats, which were already within the city.
What you have just heard Dr. Kano tell of the old Great Plague is the truth with modern implications. Here's the lesson. Major epidemics and outbreaks are always linked to major socio-political upheaval. Today, our cancer and AIDS pandemics, explosive diabetes and heart disease rates, obesity poisonings, and even recent avian flu frights are all man-made, politically contrived, and financially triggered and sustained. These are socio-political impositions, not nature's curses. When you gain your intelligence from mainstream news sources, this mainly results from news tips or press releases generated by people or companies in business aiming to make a profit from each fright. This best explains the vast majority of biological threats to which Americans have become sensitized or terrorized by mainstream news sources, without regard to the millions of Americans who are already disabled and depressed or phobic. Consider the avian flu fright. It appears to have largely benefited Donald Rumsfeld. Besides directing the Department of Defense, few people recall his position as CEO of Cereal Company, maker of NutraSweet, the poisonous sugar substitute, controversially approved by the FDA, along with the first oral birth control pill. Rumsfeld chaired the board of Gilead Sciences, Inc., initially a small company that developed and now licenses Tamiflu to the drug giant Hoffmann-La Roche. Tamiflu is the only government-recommended treatment for an epidemic that hasn't happened yet. The fright over the avian flu sent Rumsfeld's cronies' stock soaring. Other examples of white-collar bioterrorist attacks include several alleged E. coli outbreaks, meat packaging company takeovers, and SARS. Vast industries are built, company takeovers occur, or competition is destroyed by death threats and terror campaigns.
The Japanese Imperial Unit 731 operated in the 1930s and 40s when Japan was mobilized and ready for war. General Shiro Ishii, mastermind of this terrible program, had a mission to turn illness into weapons of murder. Ishii was particularly fascinated by plague because with plague, a biological warfare attack could present like a natural epidemic. Person-to-person spread could then produce disease out of proportion to the original amount of agent used. The Japanese were unable to disseminate plague by either aerosol or in the water supply, so they used nature's vector for spreading the disease, the common flea. Ceramic bombs loaded with infected fleas were dropped over several cities in mainland China, causing large outbreaks among their population.
The old Japanese military was not the only ones growing plague and other dangerous bioweapons, risking severe outbreaks. Numerous experts say that besides Germany's bio-warriors coming to America, the U.S. inherited all of Japan's bioweapon secrets following World War II, including a dangerous germ originally called Kuru. This agent, on the 1971 list of National Cancer Institute studies, is believed to have come from the Japanese experimenting on Aboriginal people in New Guinea, who modern spin doctors made a big deal about their being cannibals. They blamed the cannibals for this disease's spread. But cannibals did not spread this agent to the National Cancer Institute. Carlton Gajdusek did. This Nobel Prize winner and convicted pedophile is credited for having isolated the Kuru agent, now renamed a prion, and responsible for mad cow disease, called Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease in humans. So you see, as this National Cancer Institute document shows, what started in Japan, settled in New Guinea, and then expanded in America to what is now another worldwide plague. The risk of these and new genocides emerging is multiplied by what is ongoing throughout America today in some 113 university, government, hospital, and corporate laboratories. Here, the global elite are engaged in biotechnology research with potential to be used for germ warfare. Most alarming, these labs operate secretively, contrary to federal rules. From California to New York and Chicago to San Antonio, often in major population centers, biological warfare labs are financed today by nearly $20 billion in government grants. These labs are literally crawling with germs advanced militarily. Reportedly, in many of the laboratories, security is lax and safety procedures are inadequate to protect the public from sabotage, theft, and periodic outbreaks. Now, Grand Dr. Patrick is going to tell you the truth about this gravest risk of all, outbreaks stemming from laboratory activities. Listen here.
Plague is attractive as a weapon because it generates fear, it spreads easily, and it kills very quickly. The United States Offensive Program did some research on plague, but it was never fully weaponized in this country. We could not overcome the challenge of maintaining virulence when it was grown in large quantities.
It's a weapon that, it's a contagious agent, and we felt that in retrospect that we had enough problems controlling an aerosol under meteorological conditions that can change without having an organism that is so contagious so that you're not able to control where that organism might end up. It might come back to bite you, not only bite your forces, but some of your friendly allied forces also.